All right now, 34% of Georgians have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. But according to the CDC, our state ranks in the bottom 10 for vaccines administered based on population. Now, for comparison, 42% of Americans have received at least one dose of the vaccine. This weekend, the state's largest vaccination site, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, is closed for vaccinations because of scheduled events there. But several other mass vaccination sites across the state are still set to close for good next month, as many other sites start allowing walk-ups. Could it be an indication that demand is decreasing as vaccines become more available? That is the question we are asking. 11 Alive's Naima Abdullahi is taking a closer look for us.
8 mass vaccination sites throughout the state will close for good toward the end of next month, with no plans of their contracts being renewed. A drastic change from just a few months ago, when it was difficult to even book an appointment or qualify with the requirements before it expanded to everyone.
What the mass vaccination sites closing down is, we're seeing that other areas in the state are picking up, whether it be retail pharmacies, more doctors' offices are carrying it.
11 Alive medical correspondent Dr. Sujatha Reddy says options since then have increased. The mass vaccination sites that are closing are throughout the state, from Fulton County to Habersham County, Columbus, Savannah, Macon, and several other locations. The contracts expire May 21st, according to a GEMA spokesperson.
We're seeing smaller sites open up in more areas, so you don't need these large central venues as much. I think they served a great purpose in the beginning.
Even with the statewide push to increase access to vaccinations, only a third of Georgians have received at least one dose of the vaccine. Compared to other states, Georgia is behind on the amount of people vaccinated in the state.
I think we still have a long way to go. We know that only a fraction of all adults have been vaccinated. I think we've done a great job up till now, but we still have a long way to go.
Mass vaccination sites that are operated by local health departments or in coordination with FEMA will not be closing, such as the Mercedes-Benz Stadium location.